What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And tonight I am joined by the sixth placer, eighth juror of Ascendance Live Season 4. I'm here with Rachel. Rachel, how are you?
I'm great, doing good. Crazy to watch this whole season back.
Crazy to watch the whole season back. A lot of interesting things happened, and I'm glad I get to talk about it with you.
I'm so excited. I love talking about Ascendance Live 4.
Perfect. Um, Rachel, before we saw you go into the house, we had an interview and you were partnerless.
I
And then you
was.
walked into the house and a door was opened and you had a partner. Talk to me about, the reveal of Erica as your partner, what you were thinking. Did you know Erica? How'd you feel about that?
Oh my God, that whole thing was like so nerve-wracking. I didn't know it was going to be an alumni partner, first of all. We were not told that. So that was really interesting. And I I don't know, I had a good feeling I was going to get paired with a male partner because I had always said in like my preseason stuff, like I work really well with men, which watch the season and that's totally different. But I was expecting that. I did not expect it to be Erica whatsoever. I mean, part of me is like, maybe I should have expected it because she's like part of the community, like Seventh Live, like she's on prod, like she played season one. But seeing her, I was so excited. I was like, she looks like somebody who I would get along with outside of a game. So I'm like, this is gonna be good. And female, I mean, we took that and we ran with it. And it was a roller coaster of a game. But seeing her, like, I was so excited. And literally that night, we had a little bit of time to get to know each other before we like did our meet me's. Like we both were doing our like partner meet me and we'd ask questions. And we like bonded so well. Like we were just chilling, like shooting the shit. Like it was great. And I couldn't have imagined myself playing this game with anybody else.
And it seemed to work out for you guys because you guys were the last original, duo standing,
Mystery duo.
the mystery
Amazing.
duo. Rachel, I wanted to ask you about you and Erica end up winning captain in the rounds 4/5. And that is the round that Chris, you and Matt are eliminated from the game. So I wanted to ask you, did you and Erica have a plan at all in terms of like setting up teams? And once the teams were set up, were these the targets that you guys wanted?
So for setting up teams, the only thing that we talked about, and I kind of brought it up because there was kind of the Vets Alliance rumor going around, or that Erica and Michael were close because like they also slept in the same bed together. Like they had this small little whispers of the two of them. So I went up to Erica. I said, I'm gonna take Michael on my team to prevent it from looking like you guys are like super close. So that was the only thing. Everything else was random. It all happened so fast. We were like soaking wet. It was crazy. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that um teams were split and then we had to split them again, which is even harder.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of just wanted, or I personally wanted like to make sure she was good. Like I was like, I'll take Michael because I don't want people to start saying that more because then my partner would have a target on her back.
Yeah. So were you guys okay with the ultimate Chris, you and Matt eliminations there?
I mean, yeah, I knew Chris Yu before going into the game, and he's just such a genuine person, and I love him. And I just wish that there was that extra like oomph in his game, like that we could talk more and, you know, try and make some stuff happen. And I know Christopher did a lot of that, and I was like knew Christopher before too, so there was a possibility. They didn't show this, but the three of us kind of wanted to form a little instinct alliance and like kind of key Billy in a little bit. We made it like in the hallway like that night, I think. So I was like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be Chris you, like maybe Eric, but then Christopher started doing the most, and that's why I was like, love that you do that for your partner, but like kind of rubbed a few of us the wrong way in the means of he should be doing this himself if he really wants to be here and he really wants to stay. If he did that, I can definitely say that I would have had more of a sway in which way my vote went. And for Matt, I mean, none of us expected that fight to happen. There was really no target on that side that I would have wanted besides maybe Michael. But once again, like Erica had a close relationship with him, so I didn't know cutting him early would have been even possible. But I mean, the husbands after that second captain's win, like they were targets, and then it didn't help Matt getting into it with Michael, and that I didn't think, like Erica said, at one point she was like, I don't think like either of them have the pendant. And I was like, I really don't think so either. But still, just the fact that they were big targets, it was kind of like, this is kind of what it's going to be. This is where I'm going to vote. But like I said in the episode, it went from one group being an easy vote and the other one being a hard vote. And then the morning, it like switched. One was a hard vote, one was an easy vote. So it was a lot. There was definitely possible options on both sides, but I think we came out of it satisfied.
Good, good. Um, Speaking of gossip, I want to talk to you about, the Hollywood Gossip Alliance. It's the only, alliance name that we have this season. And it seems to have gone through a roller coaster, but I wanted to ask you specifically, you know, how invested were you in that?
Oh my God. I was very invested at the start. And that night we had in bed was going down as one of the best moments I've ever had, like with friends, like ever. And especially in the game, like it was great. We just bounced off each other. We talk every single day now. Like we're besties. Those are my besties. Those are my people. And I was invested with them. And I thought that we could actually do something. But then with the whole Chris G thing, I was like, so is this not happening? Because I was devastated to see him go, as much as he wants to say that I knew the whole time we didn't talk to him. But I was invested and I thought that everything was going to be fine because we could have done really well. But then just, I don't even know. It just, the girls thing was a thing and Chris G was a thing by himself. And oh, there was so much potential. There was so much. And we could have done so much, but I don't know. People had their hands in these places that were pulling people left and right and got us got.
You mentioned you could have done so much.
Mhm.
And, Christie's voted out, calls you out, but then Christie comes back and you could have done so much again. So what happened?
What happened was me. I'm the problem. I'm the downfall of this alliance. So when Christy came back, he literally like you saw us in the basement, him eating his string cheese over there. We're having a moment. I'd make fun of him all the time for that. And he's like, we're squashing everything. And I was like, okay, cool. Talk to Erica because I know she was upset. So when they squashed it, and then the whole thing with my pendant, and then honestly, after that, I was like, okay, sealed the deal. He owes me something. I owe him something. We have to come together and do this. But I don't know. Christopher was also kind of in the mix. We kind of say that he's like part of it, but like not part of it because he never came back in the room. He was supposed to be part of it. But just that relationship with people with Christopher and Taisha, I feel like Erica at that point where, which I'll get into whatever about the round that Taylor went. I don't think Erica would have wanted to get Taisha out because that's kind of what Hollywood Gossip came up with for that round. And it could have been done, but I had to open my big fat mouth. So I'm the reason why Hollywood Gossip failed, and I will own that with a lot of sadness. But I think just the relationships people had with outside made it harder for us to actually like go forward with things. So like they all tell me like it wasn't just you, we were all stupid, but I was like, it was kind of me, which I'll get into.
Listen, we'll talk about that vote and how that went down. But I wanted to bring up, a vote where your name is on the chopping block. You know, you
Which time?
mentioned you mentioned, Chris G, willing you the pendant of power. Um, when he comes back into the game, just because it has an expiration date, so it had to be a play at that round. Um, but you end up throwing a vote onto Josh.
I did.
So run me through the decision. Was that solely your decision to make? And once it was made, it seemed to have, worked. So run me through that entire vote.
Oh my God, that was crazy because I think that might have been the vote, unless it was the one before. I think it might have been the one before. Where yeah, because my name was definitely out.
Mhm.
Michael and Josh specifically, I remember we're going into rooms, like pulling a bunch of people into the laundry room, throwing out my name when they weren't voting. Like they were safe, they were not voting. Like, why are you trying to I can get it, you want to integrate yourself into the game, but like why are you trying to push a narrative when it's not your time? Like, you have no say in this whatsoever. Why are you pushing my name? So, like, naturally, that pissed me off. And I had a feeling it was going to be me the whole time. I don't know why I didn't start crying till like later in that. Cause like, knowing me, I feel like I would have cried the second I heard my name was out, but I was more anger and frustration. You can kind of see it in my body language. But that happened, and Chris G pulled me in. I had no idea he had it. I had no idea about any of that. I knew Erica had a half pendant because she whispered it to me after Chris G called us out, and she told me Christopher had the other half. So I knew that was a potential thing. But then Chris G pulls me in literally 3 minutes before. We're grabbing Taylor Gaby. She's running in there. We're shutting the door. He's like, take this, play it on yourself. And then he's like not giving it to me. We kind of joke about that because it's so funny because I'm like trying to get it from him. He's like, you need to play it on yourself. And I'm like, I know, just give it to me. So he does that. Oh, backtrack. I just want to mention this anyways. It's so irrelevant, but I think it's funny. I had leggings on that whole morning and then I was like, I think I'm hot. So I only brought one pair of shorts with pockets in it. And I happened to put those pair of shorts on. And then I'm like, oh, perfect. Slip it right in. So I'm like thanking him, all of that. And the vote on Josh was not decided by me until I was waiting in line to vote. I'm not even kidding because he told me to do Eli. But I was like, I have nothing to lose. And the tie aspect had like no, I didn't even think about it at all that Adam wouldn't vote me. I knew he said he wouldn't vote me, but like I was so frazzled. I didn't even think of the potential of it being a 1-to-1 tie. I thought I was just going to be like, oh, Josh, oh, sorry. So when it was a tie, I was like, oh, and then I was like, I'm hoping people pick up what I'm putting down and make the move. And they did. And I can't believe that happened. That was literally such a highlight for me. And even watching it back, like that's some big brother type shit.
Yeah, that was a big move in the game. Josh definitely obviously had a pennant of power in his possession that he
Right. I didn't
left.
know that either. Actually, I think once again, somebody probably told me about that because it was by the pool for that comp because I saw the treasure chest open. But like my brain was so frazzled and I didn't even realize until he pulled it out. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So he, he is eliminated from the game. You mentioned that it was a tie. Adam had voted for Eli. Um, do you think it was difficult kind of convincing Stacy in that moment to vote for Josh, along with yourself and Taylor, or was it not that once it was out there, it was kind of like, all right, let's get rid of this dude.
Yeah, so I didn't know Taylor and Eli's relationship in the game, like how they were roommates. So I really didn't know who was voting where. I knew that Michael would not vote Josh. I knew that Adam would not vote Josh. Obviously Eli would and I would. So I was kind of like depending on them to like be like, you see what I'm trying to do here? Like you're be a team player and do it.
Yeah.
So Taylor was a no-brainer. She was like, yeah, 100% I'll get Josh. And Stacey actually came up to me after being like, I was hoping you would do something like that. And I was like, you're welcome.
Yeah, so it all worked out. The stars aligned on that. So kudos to you on that move. Great, television.
So true.
And Rachel, I want to ask you, a lot of thrown votes this season.
Yeah.
You end up running it back and throwing another vote in a vote where, votes are all over the place, where Eli is eliminated, two pendants are played, and you've thrown your vote onto Taisha. What
We
was
did.
going on there?
Oh God. I don't even know, honestly. That was the 10-minute round. I'm sure Eli talked about it or will talk about it with you. That was a little bit crazy. I was safe. I was captain, so that was fantastic for me. But I felt like I think because it was so chaotic and nobody like had a set name and like tenants were being played and all of that, I knew Taisha voted for me the round Grace went. So I was like, I think the safest bet for me right now is to just throw onto her and say, like, oh, I did this because you threw on me. Like now we're even. I think that was what I was thinking. Which I didn't really want Eli gone. I know he wanted me gone after watching these episodes, but I was like, I sleep in the same bed as this kid. I don't want to vote him out. But clearly he had other plans. So I was like satisfied, I guess, with that being the outcome. Well, I wanted Michael out. But, he played his Ascendant and so did Christopher, and they played it correctly. And I just felt like if I threw on Taisha, I could talk to her and be like, hey, like that vote was me. I'll own it. Like you voted me, so I voted you. And that's kind of how it played out.
Yeah. It was just interesting because there was multiple thrown votes, multiple, two votes, multiple pendants played. So it's just interesting to kind of hear everybody's rationale.
Yeah,
And
it was a crazy
I
one.
did speak to Eli previous, like a couple hours ago, and he mentioned, and a quicker round this time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was planned, but
No,
somebody
that was
somebody hit
all
the
Marvin's
timer.
fault. That was Marvin.
Um,
Shout out Marvin.
Another interesting vote, is I think we alluded to it earlier, is where um Taisha is safety without powered out of a vote by Michael. Now, the episode did not really include the fact that there was a potential for Taisha to be voted out here. So run me through, what happened, and why Michael ended up doing this.
So Michael did it because of me. But I will backtrack to the team challenge graveyard because Lord, that was not fun. They were honestly so generous with what they did. Like, I'm so glad the camera was on the other side because if it was right by me, like, oh my God, like I was crying. Chris was like giving me the death stares, me like as I was like sobbing, trying to spell things. And I don't know if people know this, but what I was doing was that I was spelling it, saying correct, and then spelling another one and not reaching for the animals to give him. And then something in my mind clicked, and I was like, "Oh my God, I fucked up so bad." We made up time though. It was 9 to 10, so I was like, "It's not that embarrassing," but at the same time, if we kept the speed, like if we did it 2 minutes ago, then we would have won and nothing would have happened. Taylor would have been safe and all of that. But basically, I fucked up the challenge. I'm coming down, like, challenge is over. I'm sobbing. I'm so upset. I'm beside myself. And you could see all of us are like in the Coliseum. And I'm like crying. I'm like, guys, like, I know I'm a massive target, like being all dramatic, like I am. And Michael like looks me in the eyes at one point and is like, I'm not voting for you. I'm voting with you. And I was like, okay, like let's build trust. You're reaching out to me. I'll reach out back. We're going to build trust here and we will vote together no matter what it is. And that's what he threw out Taylor. So then Hollywood Gossip gets in a room at some point and we're like, Taisha. And I don't really, part of me is like, I don't know if it would have actually worked because I didn't think Erica wanted to do Taisha. Taylor would, Chris G would. I don't know if Adam would, but I feel like we would only have had the numbers if it was all of us. But I was going into the elimination, I was going to do that because I didn't want to vote Taylor. Um, just because I had a working relationship with her and she was kind of part of the girls' thing. So, like, might as well keep more of us in if that's going to be a thing. So, we're going up the stairs, timer's going off. I look Michael in the eye and I'm like, it's Taisha. Like, I told him that the vote was going to be Taisha because all of us were voting. He didn't know that it was all of us that were voting. I just told him, like, Taisha's where I'm voting. Like, that's the vote. Not knowing that he had a stupid thing in his stupid shoe and she's gone. I'm like, well, I have to vote Taylor now because I'm not voting myself. So yeah, I kind of told him that because he told me he was gonna vote with me. He told me, and I, in my good conscience, in my good mind, said, I'm gonna keep my word. I just had a massive meltdown and I will do anything to stay. And I told people, I was like, you can vote me out any round except for this one because I will never forgive myself. So yeah, I was just so thankful that he wasn't going to vote for me and just so thankful that it was not going to be me that I said, Michael, it's going to be Taisha. And then that's the downfall of Hollywood Gossip because we go back to back to back to back. So oops.
Yeah, speaking of back to back to back, you end up getting eliminated a couple, I believe, a couple rounds after this. And you get eliminated on a round where everybody votes for Michael, but he plays another pendant. And somebody blocks his vote. I'm not really sure who he ended up voting for, but I assumed it was going to be you. Yeah. So my question to you was, during the round that you got voted out, after it came back no votes because Michael had played the pendant, was there anything you could have said?
Thinking about that and I was thinking even more that these people are dumb because you all just unanimously voted this man out 5-0. And he whispered my name to everybody. And everybody listened to him. Hello? Why are we doing that? When they said I think the second my fate was sealed was when they were like, we're not voting for Taisha. And I was like, well, shit, it's either me or Adam. And clearly I'm part of the girls. I'm a woman, so they're gonna probably vote me. But like Michael was the one who like threw my name out. And I wasn't sure if it was like save Rachel or vote Rachel. So I guess kind of just saying my pitch. But why is everybody listening to this man that you just voted out unanimously? Like, use your brain. I could have been his shield, as I always said, but I said what I could. I kind of felt that my fate had been sealed after that. But I mean, it's not giving Michael the power to give me a 4-1 vote with just his vote, like all four canceled and one vote on him voting for me. So he didn't single-handedly send me out. That would have been worse. But yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like there was not much I could have done, and they all just decided to listen to him. Annoying.
Um, when he had said, the first thing that happened during the revote was, I'm not voting for Taisha. Did you ever think, why are we listening? You said it. Why are we all listening to Michael? Can we all get on the same page here and actually vote Taisha? It seems like that's what Michael wants to do, and we want Michael gone. So
Right. I don't know. Because Christopher also said that he wouldn't vote Taisha, and Stacey was like, well, I don't really want to either then. Because apparently they had their final three they were talking about. So, like, okay. But still, why are we listening to Michael? But apparently they thought that I would be better at memory comps than Adam, which, like, sure, I don't think
true.
Adam's good at memory comps, but me? I literally have one brain cell. Like, I would not be much better. But I mean, sure, if you think I'm a threat, like I'll take it. But when he said that it was gonna be no not on Taisha, I was like, well, if the girls thing's going around and you're not voting that girl, it's gonna be me and the other girl's safe. So sure, cool. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Take it as a compliment, I feel like. But Rachel, you're ultimately eliminated from the game, but your journey's not over. And the beauty of this interview, the way it's taking place right now, is I get to ask you questions about the finale because you were there, you were in the mix, and you were at the jury roundtable. So I wanted to ask you, did you have a temperature or a gauge on what people were thinking at that roundtable?
We talked a little bit beforehand, like kind of when I got voted out, and subscribe to the Patreon to see the vote out villa footage because I bring something up and everyone's like, oh my god, you're so right. And I was like, I know. So a lot of people were rubbed the wrong way with Christopher's final twos, and a lot of us kind of um what's the word, like compared notes,
Hmm.
and that was kind of the main thing that people were like, I don't know, if he owns it then that's one thing, but if he denies it that's another thing. So at roundtable we were kind of like just throwing out that idea and kind of leaving it up in the air to see what he would say. A lot of people said that Stacy was very under the radar, but not necessarily in a bad way. But I mean, me personally, I said it on my way out. I was like, Stacey, you're being dragged to the end. Like, no matter who you sit next to, you're gonna lose. So that was kind of also my pitch before I got voted out. But and then with Taisha, like she was just so much fun to be with, and she kept her cards close to her chest, like a lot of people said, and we talked about that, about how she never was the one pushing a narrative. She was kind of hopping on board and doing the inner workings to get things done. So a lot of her doing really well in the mix, Stacey more under the radar and Christopher kind of in your face. But we kind of just wanted to see if he would own it. And I was going in a little bit bitter, but before I had left the game, I said to Christopher, like, if you're sitting in the end, I'm voting for you, just because I just felt so attached to him. But that was the case. And I kind of went in a little bit bitter. I love playing bitter juror. Like that's my thing. I love being bitter. Even if I like don't have a reason to, like I love being the devil's advocate.
Um, so Christopher, he ends up losing the game. And you mentioned you love being a bitter juror. Do you think the jury was bitter towards Christopher, like overall? Do you think they were bitter towards all his final twos, all his handshakes, and then, psych, and then, not living up to all of his promises?
I think for a few people, um, Taylor had mentioned that Christopher shook her hand too, but she voted for him. So, and Chris G was the one mainly like who called him out on it, I think, at like the questioning. And he brought it up a lot in jury and he was like mad about it. And the two of us were literally sitting in the back. Like when he took credit for like the pendant play, we looked at each other and started laughing. I felt so bad. But like now that I'm watching the season, like it's kind of true. He did know about it. So sorry about that. But yeah, I think there were a few people. I think Erica was a little bit bitter. I was a little bit bitter. Who else? I don't know. I mean, I figured Michael would vote Tanisha anyway, because he like was so close ride or die with her. So I think it was kind of half and half, but Chris G and Taylor kind of landed more on the I respect it side. Thank you for owning it. But I don't know, like Taisha just she got me. But now I'm rewatching and I'm like, damn, like Christopher played the hell out of this game. And if I was not in such a better mindset, he probably would have had my vote.
Was there anything in this finale that Christopher could have done to have swayed you to vote for him?
Um,
Anything he could have said specifically for you to vote for him?
yeah, I mean, I really wanted to know personally why he waited until I was voted out to make a final something with me. Because it was that round, like literally like 5 minutes before he voted for me. Like if you like why? That's kind of why I was bitter towards him, is because like if you did it, like I said, any other round earlier in the game, even like the round prior, I would have felt different. But why did you do it right when I was getting voted out? And granted, they didn't expect me to get voted out, so like there's that. But also like you didn't fight for me like I thought you would when it was a revote. So that kind of explaining that, apologizing for that, understanding how it could have rubbed me the wrong way, like personally, not really personally, but like game, whatever, that could have probably swayed me too. Because it was just frustrating. I was like in that mindset, being like, why did you do it this round? But yeah,
Yeah.
that would probably be it.
Understood. Rachel, I want to, before we move on to my last question, I want to set a scenario where Taisha is voted out in Adam's place and Adam makes the final three. What does that look like?
We love a good Adam in Boston speech. We were robbed of that this season, honestly. That would have been so good. It was so funny because this is also kind of off topic. But when we were doing the or the final four was doing the like balancing comp, me and Chris and Taylor and Erica, we are all sitting on the side, like making fun of Adam and being like, oh, stacks discs in Boston. Because like he was just so Boston. It was hilarious. So we were robbed of an Adam's speech. Phenomenal speaker, would have been iconic. I feel like he played a fantastic game. He I don't know if he would have beaten Christopher from how I see it because like I don't know, I feel like Christopher could have had more sway over Adam as like good of a speaker as Adam is and how he had that huge story. I feel like some of the stuff, yeah, they might have been upset with Christopher, but um because I said that they weren't really that bitter towards him, but it was just that Taisha played that much better. So I feel like I don't know if he would have beaten Christopher or not, but I don't know. I feel like because of my bitterness, I would have voted for him. Yeah,
For Adam. What if Adam was in the finale with Taisha? Who would you have voted for?
probably Taisha, just because although actually, I don't know. That's actually a good question because I feel like Adam let me in more than Taisha did, like with his game. Um,
So I remember during the jury roundtable, you had mentioned that you didn't really communicate as much with Taisha throughout the game.
yeah, that's actually a toss up. I didn't even think about that because Taisha played well hiding her cards, but as a juror, I'm kind of wish I was in it more. Like I worked a lot closer with Adam. So honestly, maybe I would have voted for him. I'm not gonna lie. Like if he was able to articulate what he specifically did and telling his story, I could have been able to be like, oh, you're right, I do remember this, or I do remember having this conversation, and I remember you talked to this person about this. So maybe he would have had my vote because I would have known more and understood, oh, like that was a good move, like that, like me having seen it or been part of it. Because I wasn't really that much in with Taisha, but I mean, she's Taisha. She's fantastic at these games.
And then in that scenario, you would have actually had Hollywood Gossips back.
Yeah, absolutely. In that way.
Um, Rachel, so much fun talking to you about your game and your journey in this season. But my last question is, what was your favorite part of the entire experience? Could be, during the game, could be maybe the shenanigans after.
Gosh, so much, like so many memories. And the more that I sit back and think, I just think of these little things. Like there was a time that overnight round when me and Erica were saying we were sitting on the bathroom floor eating chips with Eric McHenry and talking game at 3 in the morning. Like that was just so much fun. Obviously, hide and seek, being in the bed with everybody talking shit, playing my pendant and getting everybody to like be like, oh, and me sitting there like laughing, like making memes with everybody, having a fake fight with Chris G in the Discord server. Like we're
All-time
just so
classic.
close. That was so funny. So just how we bonded. It was kind of funny. We played hide and seek like in the game, but then after we all played sardines like outside. It was kind of like a big family game of hide and seek. So that was a lot of fun.
What is
Definitely.
sardines?
It's when like okay, so we paired up and one person would hide and then everyone else is like running around and then when you find that person, you hide with them. So then eventually
Ah.
only one person is like looking still. You don't want to be that person because it's so embarrassing. But it was just a property wide game and it was so much fun. Me and
Who was
Christopher,
that person that was always losing?
I don't even know. Nicole was really good at it. I will give her that. I was with Marvin. We were pretty good at it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of people. But me and Christopher and Billy jumped in the pool at like 2 in the morning. There's a
I think
whole
I saw
video.
that.
Yeah, Chris is filming and he's pretending to be production, and it was so funny. That was a good memory. There's just I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like that. Put me back in. I didn't eat for 4 days. I got no more than 5 hours of sleep a day, but I would do it again in an instant.
Well, Rachel, so much fun talking to you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the experience, and thank you so much for doing the exit interview.
You, of course, I love it.